I want to speak on about the problem of pleasure. As we all know, some pleasures are not forbidden, but there's a difference between legitimate pleasure and forbidden pleasure. I want to read from a verse in Ecclesiastes chapter 2. Solomon said, I said in my heart, come now and I will test you with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure, but surely this was also vanity. I said of laughter, this is madness. As we jump to verse 9, it says, so I became great and excelled more than all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure, for my heart rejoiced in all my labor, and this was my reward from all my labor. Then I looked on all the works that my hands had done, and on the labor in which I had toiled, and indeed was all vanity and grasping for the wind. And so we see that Solomon was the wisest man to ever live, but he still had one thing that he could not stay away from: the problem of sexual pleasures. The wisest men in the world, the men who lived with the most wisdom, God said, ask me anything and I'll give it to you. He didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for material things. He asked for wisdom and knowledge, and God gave it to him. But on top of that, God said, because you were humble and you asked me for knowledge and wisdom, I will give you not only that, but I will give you everything your heart desires. I will give you money. I will give you gold. I will give you all of it. And so Solomon took upon himself, having everything that he had, all the money. He was the king. He had all that he could. He decided to go on this journey and test out pleasure. He said he wasn't going to deny himself anything. He said that he was going to try it all. Wine, women probably, all of it, all you can think about. And he said it was all vanity. It was all amounted to nothing. And it just reminds me of two people in the Bible, David and Gideon. Not because of Gideon himself, but because of all his guards and all his soldiers. But David also. When we talk about pleasure, we need to be careful, because as you remember back in the garden, Adam and Eve, God said you can do all things. You can do it all. But you cannot eat from the fruit of this tree. God said you can do anything, but you cannot be God. You cannot decide what is good, what is bad. You cannot be God. That's all that he asked for. He said you can do it all. But men don't like to listen. And so the devil, he went behind men's back and went to the woman. And so the woman is the body. We are the head. We are leaders in our home, everywhere. But if us and our women and our wives are not in sync, it doesn't work. We may be the head, but it doesn't mean that we have the authority. It doesn't mean that we know it all. It doesn't mean that we make the wisest choices. A lot of times, and most of the time, all the time, we need our women. We need our wives to build us up. We need our wives to motivate us, and we need them for it all. And so that's what happened. The devil knew that if he went around the man's head and just manipulated the woman, and that would happen. And as we go back to David, David was in the battlefield, and he was sitting there, just talking to himself. And he said, man, I wish I had the water from Jerusalem, my town. And they had been at war for so many days, and he missed that water. He just wanted to get a feel of what it was like to be, back home and to be in that comfort zone. And he missed it, there's nothing wrong with that. But he said, and David said with longing, that someone will give me a drink of that water from the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. So 3 of his mighty men broke through the camp of the Philistines, drew water from the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it back, brought it to David. Nevertheless, he wouldn't drink it. He was talking to himself, and these guys, they were loyal, they were faithful, they were his soldiers, they were by his side through thick and thin. He said, no matter what do you need? They overheard David. David didn't ask them. And so they went through all that trouble, and he went and got the water. But David wouldn't drink it. You know what he said? Far be it from me, O Lord, that I should do this. This is not the blood of the men who went in jeopardy of their lives. Therefore, he would not drink it because it would jeopardize the lives of those men. We cannot jeopardize somebody else's life. We cannot jeopardize their holiness. Anything that we do that's going to sacrifice someone else's life, someone else's way of life, is a sin. And so, one thing that Ravi Zacharias said is, anything that refreshes you without distracting or diminishing or destroying your final goal is a legitimate pleasure. So there it is. First of all, we got to figure out what our final goal is. What's your final goal in life? What's your final goal in everything that you do? And as you figure out your goal, you go back and you figure out, what distracts me from reaching this goal? And you will figure out things that distracts you, and you're going to stay away from these things. There's so many vices in the world. The other day I walked into a store and I was shocked. It was nothing but vices. It was a smoke shop with nothing but tobacco, scratchers, lottery tickets. I mean, all sorts of stuff. And it just made me think, man, how humanity are stuck, and they got, the devil has these hooks on them, and he holds them. That's how he controls them, like marionettes. And it's crazy. And as we go back to the book of Judges chapter 7, how God chose those men. Gideon was chosen to fight for God and be a man to defend the people from being slaves. And so God chose him, and he brought 32,000 men. God said, that is too much, because if I send you to battle with that many men, you're going to win, and you're going to boast on yourself, and you're going to say you did it in your own power. So God said, take the men who are shy, who are weak, and who are scared, send them home. So 22,000 men got sent home, and 10,000 stayed. And God said, that is still too much. I can't let you go to war with that many men. Here's what I want you to do. You're going to go to the water, and we're going to read here on chapter 7, verse 4. But the Lord said to Gideon, the people are still too many. Bring them down to the water, and I will test them for you there. Then it will be that of whom I say to you, this one shall go with you, the same shall go with you. And of whomever I say to you, this one shall not go with you, the same shall not go. So he brought the people down to the water, and the Lord said to Gideon, everyone who laps the water with his tongue as a dog laps, you shall set apart by himself. Likewise, everyone who gets down on their knees to drink. And the number of those who lapped the water, putting their hand to their mouth, was 300 men. But all the rest of the people who got down on their knees to drink the water got sent home. So here is a great example of how a pleasure can diminish, can keep you away, or even stop you or derail you from reaching your goal. It could distract you. So the people who got on their knees took too long. They were not looking forward to their goal. They were not paying attention, thinking, I need to do this quickly. I need to be on my feet. I'm going to war. I need to be careful. I need to watch my back. So that was how God determined who was going to fight and who was not. 300 men, they went there real quick, got the water in their hands, and they licked it like the dogs do. So, that's the fact. When we figure out what our goal is, and we figure out what distracts us from reaching those goals. And it's an amazing thing I learned. It says, even if God gives you greater wisdom that he has ever measured out to anyone, and grant you the grandest ministry he has ever given to anyone, you will have to wrestle with your passions. And if your passions are untamed, your gift is going to be abused, misused, and ultimately devastating. And it's talking about the same thing. There's a lot of things that can hold us back, that can stop us and derail us and take us another way that we don't want to go. Sin will keep you longer than you want to stay. It'll cost more than you want to pay. You don't want to go there. And so we need to figure out what are our vices, what keeps us from following the word of God, and what types of sin. And we ask ourselves, what is sin? It's whatever weakens your reasons, impairs the tenderness of your conscience, obscures your sense of God, or takes away your relish for spiritual things. In short, whatever increases the strength and authority of your body over your mind, that thing is sin to you, however innocent it may seem in itself. Watching TV